What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. I hope you all are doing well. We had the NBA Finals come to a close last night. The Golden State Warriors defeated the Boston Celtics 103-90 in Game 6. They clinched the series, and the Golden State Warriors are your NBA champions. They are your 2021-2022 NBA champions. This is their fourth championship in the last 8 years. They've been to 6 of the last 8 finals. They have won 4 of them. Of course, they have the teams of Steph, Clay, and Kevin Durant as well. Durant was there for the last 2 of the 3 of their first run. They also lost twice. They lost in 2016 to Cleveland, and they lost Durant's last year there. Durant got hurt to Toronto. But after a couple of down years, they get back to the finals, and they defeat the Boston Celtics in 6 games. Stephen Curry, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He won his first Finals MVP of his career. Second oldest player to win Finals MVP for the first time. Jaylen Brown, 34 points, 7 rebounds in the loss. Jason Tatum was very disappointing for the series. He did not shoot the ball well. Didn't have too many games where he scored the ball too well either. He was a major disappointment in the series, Jason Tatum. Probably the reason they lost. Jason Tatum really struggled in the series. But congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. They are your 2021-2022 NBA champions. Next thing I want to talk about is revolving around Stephen Curry. So Stephen Curry, I believe, deserves to be in the top 10 players of all time with this championship win. He's an 8-time All-Star, an 8-time All-NBA. He is a 4-time NBA champion. He is a Finals MVP. He's a 2-time regular season MVP. Was unanimous both times. He is the all-time leader in three-point field goals. Is by far the greatest shooter this league has ever seen. He is absolutely an incredible player. He has been very loyal. He has obviously done it with the Warriors. He got certain guys, guys like LeBron James, who may have some incredible accolades and have several rings, but, of course, LeBron did it with multiple different teams. He jumped around. Seems like as soon as he lost in the finals, he jumped around to another team, but Steph did it all with the Golden State Warriors, and I believe he deserves to be in the top 10 players of all time. My next statement is going to sound a little bit blasphemous, but this is a very hot take that I'm about to give all of you. I believe that Stephen Curry is the best player of his generation over LeBron James. Don't get me wrong. LeBron's an incredible talent. He is absolutely one of the 10 greatest players of all time. And he's got some accolades that are more impressive than Stephen Curry. He's an 18-time All-Star. He's along with the 4 rings, of course, same amount of Steph. He's a 3-time Finals MVP. Now, I believe he is second all-time on the all-time points list. He might be first in postseason. I'll have to confirm that. He's one of the all-time greats. There's a reason that people compare him to Michael Jordan. So some people have to think he's better than Michael Jordan. I think that's blasphemous, but that's another story for another day. But Stephen Curry is also a 4-time champion, and he has done it in 13 seasons, while LeBron James has won 4 championships in 19 seasons. So same amount of rings, and Steph has been in the league 6 years less. Yes, Steph is an 8-time All-Star compared to LeBron's 18, but again, LeBron's played 6 years longer than Stephen Curry. Also, LeBron has had to jump around. He's had to do it with, 3 or 4 different teams? He did it with Cleveland, Miami, and then the Lakers. Stephen Curry has done them all with Golden State. He has stayed loyal. LeBron was in Cleveland. He lost in the finals there in his first stint in Cleveland. Then he jumped to 2 superstars in Miami, won twice there, also lost twice. After he lost the second time in his career in the finals with the Heat, he jumped back to Cleveland after he lost to the Spurs. Of course, they played the Spurs twice in the finals of the Heat. First time the Heat won, second time the Spurs won. Then he jumps back to Cleveland to form a super team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, especially Kyrie Irving. and he wins a championship with them in 2016. But after losing in the finals to the Warriors in 2017, he then jumped to the Los Angeles Lakers. His first year there, when he didn't really have too much guys, he had a couple of really good young players on that team. Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma before his career kind of went downhill with the Lakers before he played a lot better with the Washington Wizards this year. Didn't even make the playoffs. He also battled some injuries. And then once they got Anthony Davis, they were able to win a championship, which I don't think was that impressive because it was in the bubble. I'm not saying it's fake. You can't take a championship away from a person. Something that's in the history books. You can't take that away from them, from LeBron and those Los Angeles Lakers. But there was no traveling, so there was no the tiredness of traveling. There was no fans, no home court advantage. LeBron and everyone was a lot healthier than they would have been because of they had a couple months off because of the pandemic. Yes, you can't control the pandemic, but at the end of the day, that championship really is not very impressive. Steph won 4. He won the first 3 against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he won this one, although, this Boston Celtics team isn't, this all-time great team, though they were certainly a very good team that he beat. When it comes to, yes, Steph has had a good amount of help. He had Kevin Durant for 2 of the first 3. And, of course, he's had Klay Thompson, who may be a future Hall of Famer. Draymond Green, who is an excellent defender, for the 2 other ones. I feel personally that LeBron James has had even more help. LeBron, in his first ring let's go back. With the first 2 with Miami, he had Dwayne Wade, who was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Chris Bosh, also a Hall of Famer. Those 2 guys were also top 10, if not top 5 players in the league at the time when they were playing LeBron James. With Cleveland, he had Kyrie Irving, who we all know, when healthy, is one of the most talented players this league has ever seen, arguably a top 5 player in the game at that time in his prime, before the injuries really start to derail his career. The Lakers, he had Anthony Davis, who I believe at the time was a top 5 player in the game, before the injuries really started to take a toll, before he got a little soft like he is now. I think Anthony Davis' career may be on a downfall. That's another bit of a hot take. That's something that maybe we can talk about another time. But, again, he won a championship. Like I said, it's not an impressive title because it was in the bubble and all that. And it's a Miami Heat team that they were much better than. That Miami Heat team was very good. Jimmy Butler was an incredible player. But I didn't think they were anything special. In the bubble, I went through that already. And he had Anthony Davis, who was also a top 5 player in the game. For those reasons, that is why Stephen Curry is not only a top 10 player in NBA history, he is this generation's GOAT. This generation. They're not saying the greatest of all time. The GOAT is Michael Jordan. It will always be Michael Jordan. But for this generation, for Steph's generation, I believe he is the GOAT and not LeBron James. On to the NHL. We got the Stanley Cup final tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on ABC as well as ESPN Plus. The Lightning and Colorado Avalanche will play Game 2 of the Stanley Cup final. Colorado won 4-3 in overtime in Game 1. We have some NHL coaching news. The Vegas Golden Knights, who's fired Peter DeBoer, they missed the playoffs this season, for the first time in the team's 5-year history. They have recently fired Boston Bruins head coach Bruce Cassidy. So they had a 4-year deal to become their next head coach. I think this is an excellent hire from the Golden Knights. Bruce Cassidy is a really good coach. He did a really good job at Boston. He made the playoffs all 6 seasons that he was there. Took them to the Cup final in 2019. Lost to the Blues that year. It's weird. He was told, I think like a couple weeks ago, Bruce Cassidy said he was told he would return for next season. And after the season, about maybe 2 weeks ago or so, he was fired. Interesting move, but the Golden Knights, a team about a lot of injuries. Mark Stone was out a lot last year. Max Pacioretty battled a lot of injuries. Alex Pietrangelo battled a lot of injuries. They had so many guys who missed a lot of time. Jack Eichel, who they picked up in a trade before the season, did not debut until much later in the season because he was recovering from an injury. Remember, the Buffalo Sabres did not let him have the surgery at first, so he had the surgery very late in the offseason, and he had major surgery on his shoulder. So he did not play a lot. So I think next year, they'll be healthy. You got guys like Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith on the attack. Guys like Alex Pietrangelo. On defense, Robin Leonard in goal, and now a really good head coach, Bruce Cassidy. Vegas could be a force to be reckoned with. They will absolutely be back in the playoffs and could even be a Stanley Cup contender. We're going to see what happens in the offseason. They are over the cap, so they will probably have to move a contract or two. I'm not sure who it'll be, but that remains to be seen. I'm sure they will figure that out. The Philadelphia Flyers also named a new head coach. They brought in former Tampa Bay Lightning, Vancouver Canucks, and Columbus Blue Jackets head coach and current TV analyst John Tortorella has been named the next head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Tortorella is 14th all-time in wins in NHL history. He won a Stanley Cup with the Lightning years ago. I believe that was in 2004. He had successful tenure with the New York Rangers. As a Ranger fan, I watched him coach for the Rangers for his entire tenure there. I thought he did a very good job. I was sad when he left. He did a very good job with the New York Rangers. Sure, in Vancouver didn't go too well. He was in Columbus for 5 seasons. They mutually agreed to part ways after last year. I thought he did a pretty good job with them. Took over a team that was very, very bad. Of course, they beat the Lightning in the first round as an 8th seed and were the best team in hockey a few years ago. I think he's a very good coach. Not everyone loves him. You saw Brandon Dubinsky, who I believe played for him with the Rangers, maybe even played for him in Columbus, tweeted out prayers up for the Flyers player or something like that, so clearly he's not a fan of him. There's a guy who, he preaches, good defense and effort for 60 minutes, which, especially some of these young guys in today's league and really all sports don't really like. So he's not for everyone, but the Flyers have a good amount of veterans. Kevin Hayes is the next Ranger. I forget if Kevin Hayes ever played for Tortorella. He may not have, but they both are ex-Rangers, so they have that in common. I think he set up much. I want to say he set up well. Flyers have a very bad team right now. They need to do some retooling this offseason if they want to get back to the playoffs. They finished last in the Metro. I think second to last in the Eastern Conference, besides the Montreal Canadiens. So a lot of work to do, but Tortorella is. If anyone's going to turn the Flyers around, I think Tortorella is one of the people that can. He's a very good coach. And we scores from last night. Not too many games last night. Oakland over Boston, 4-3. San Diego over the Cubs, 6-4. Baltimore over Toronto, 10-2. Cleveland over Colorado, 4-2. Philly over Washington, 10-1. Yankees over the Rays, 2-1. The Mets over the Brewers, 5-4. The Texas over Detroit, 3-1. And Angels over Seattle, 4-1. That's what we had last night. Let's take a look at the standings for MLB. American League Central, Minnesota, first place in the Central. Cleveland only 2 games back. Cleveland Guardians playing very well. They're just 2 games behind the Minnesota Twins in the Central. White Sox are 5 games out. And Tigers and Royals were on that division. The Tigers have been so bad this year. I did not think they would be this bad. I thought they would be a lot better than they were last year, and they might be worse than they were last year. I think Al Avila, their GM, might get fired. He's been rebuilding for a while. They've had some really bad teams, and this year look at the guys he went out and signed. He gave Javier Baez $140 million, I think, over 6 years. He's been terrible. They have Eduardo Rodriguez a 5-year deal worth close to $80 million. He's not been good. He stepped away from the team recently for some personal matters. He brought in Austin Meadows, who has underperformed. Tucker Barnhart hasn't been anything special. He hasn't hit well, so I think he might be gone after the year. He really hasn't done a great job there, to be honest. And the Tigers, the problem is they can't hit. They're probably the worst offensive team in baseball. They got guys in the rotation yet. The bullpen isn't that good. The team is just terrible. 24-39, ouch. In the American League East, the Yankees continue to dominate. They have won 7 straight games. including 14 straight at Yankee Stadium. They are 47-16. That's an incredible record. 31 games over 500. Best team in baseball. 10 games ahead of Toronto, who's in second place. Third place is the Tampa Bay Rays, followed by Boston, and then the Baltimore Orioles, of course, in dead last. Orioles 28-37 in that division actually isn't too bad. American League West, Houston Astros lead the Texas Rangers by 9 games in that division. 39-24. They are cruising along. Texas is in second. They're followed by Los Angeles Angels, who continue to struggle. Seattle Mariners, who are having a tough year, 28-36. Team a lot of people thought would make the playoffs, is not looking great right now. Second out of the wild card. Scott Cervais, the manager, could be on the hot seat. Problem is they got Mitch Hanger and Kyle Lewis out, and Jared Kelenic is back in the lineup after he struggled. He continued to struggle facing major league pitching. Was hitting 140 when he got sent down. So their lineup has underperformed. Jesse Winker also has been a major underperformance this year. So they're not hitting the way that they thought they would. The rotation hasn't been great. Robbie Ray has taken a giant step back. His ERA is close to 5 right now, and their bullpen has not been as good as it was last year. Of course, the Oakland Athletics at 22-43 continue to struggle. They're the worst team in all of baseball. We got some rumors that rival owners and executives are upset that the A's, fielded a non-competitive team this year, and are holding back the amount of revenue that baseball could possibly earn. Basically saying that they're tanking, losing on purpose. I mean, they blew up that team in the offseason. They traded Matt Olson to the Atlanta Braves, Matt Chapman to the Toronto Blue Jays, traded Chris Bassett to the New York Mets. They traded Sean Manaea to the San Diego Padres. That team was absolutely torn apart this offseason. And most likely, Frankie Montas is probably next. I think he may go at the trade deadline. In the National League, St. Louis Cardinals currently in first place in the National League Central. Milwaukee Brewers are really struggling. Only 5 games over 500. They're not even in playoff position right now. They are 2 games behind the Cardinals in the National League Central. Pittsburgh Pirates actually in third place in that division. Have lost 9 in the last 10, but have been a little bit unexpected. Chicago Cubs are falling apart. They're 23-40. They have lost 10 games in a row. They all of a sudden are tied with the Reds in that division for 4th and 5th place. Second worst team in National League. National League East, the Mets are 42-23, second best record in all of baseball. Lead the National League East, but the Braves have gained in them. Braves all of a sudden only 4.5 games behind the Mets. They have won 14 games in a row. And they're 10 games over 500. Playing some great baseball. Phillies 33-31 have actually played very well since firing Joe Girardi. They are 11-2 since they fired Joe Girardi. And in Miami and the Washington Nationals round out that division. Nationals really struggling. They are the worst team in the National League. National League West, San Diego Padres take control of first place in that division, 41-24, playing very well. The Dodgers, 39-23, fall a half game behind them. San Francisco Giants are in third, followed by the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. All right, I want to talk about something with baseball. I think David Ross might be the most overrated manager in baseball. I don't think he's that good of a manager. I understand why they brought him in because, they had a much younger team, and Ross is, would be a very young manager, and he knew a lot of the players at the time when they brought him in. They still had Brian and Baez and Rizzo and all those guys from the 2016 World Series team, which he played on. That was his last year. Then he retired, went and did studio stuff for a few years. He knew most of the players. All the players really like him. He definitely does know baseball. He does know the game very well. I'll give him that. But in the pandemic year, they won the division, but the 60-game season, that division wasn't very good that year. He didn't really impress me. Lost in the first round. Were terrible last year. Yes, they blew up their team at the trade line, but they fell apart, in June, July. Weren't very good the first 2 months either. This year, although they don't have a great team, they are lifeless right now. Have lost 10 in a row. They're the same record as the Reds, who absolutely suck. Their team president, Jed Hoyer, said, he's done a great job. What are you talking about, dude? Just say the truth. Say he's a bad manager. I would get rid of him at the end of the year at this point. I don't think he's that good of a manager. I think he's very overrated. In golf, since I was last casting, the RBC Canadian Open was not finished. What's announced the winner, Rory McIlroy, was the winner of the RBC Canadian Open last week. Congratulations to him. He had a huge day in the last day, which pushed him into the lead, and he held on to it. Rory McIlroy won the RBC Canadian Open. U.S. Open is underway right now. Day 2. David Lingermurf right now is in first place at 5 under par. Followed by Colin Morikawa is one back. Also one back, Brian Harman, Caleb Tarrant, and Joel Damon. At 3 under, you got Nick Hardy, Aaron Wise, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler. And at 2 under, you have a bunch of guys, including Adam Hadwin, Matt Fitzpatrick, Rory McIlroy, Matthew Smith, and Sam Burns. A lot of like no names. There's very few household names that are at the top of the leaderboard. Outside of Colin Morikawa, who's won out the lead. Of course, he's one of the best players on tour. John Rahm is one of the best players on tour. He's still up the lead. Scotty Scheffler is up there, of course. Of course, he won the Masters. He's having a great season. He's 2 off the lead. You got Rory McIlroy, of course, is one of the best players on tour. He's 3 off the lead. Outside of that, you got David Lingermurf is your leader. Guys like Brian Harman, Callum Tarrant, I've never heard of. I've never heard of Nick Hardy. I'm not too familiar with Aaron Wise. I've never heard of Matthew Smith, who's only 3 back. So, very good chance of the first-time major champion at the U.S. Open this year. Some tennis news. Serena Williams has been granted a wild card at Wimbledon, so she will be playing at Wimbledon. She has 23 career majors. That is one off of Margaret Court's all-time record. That's for males and females of 24. She also has 7 Wimbledons as well, so she will be vying for her 8th. Let's do a recap of WWE from Monday. We opened with Miz TV, Paul Heyman as the special guest. Then Riddle came out, and he feuded with the both of them. Riddle, of course, will be fighting Roman Reigns for the Universal and WWE Championship on Friday night. He's probably going to lose, but Riddle thinks he could win. The only hope that he possibly has, I heard a rumor that WWE is considering having Roman drop his belts because of his later schedule. He appears to be towards the end of his WWE tenure, at least this current run for him. He may go Hollywood and possibly take some time off from WWE. So he may drop the belt soon, is what I'm hearing. Then when the Usos ran in the ring, of course the Miz was kind of hiding out in the ring because he was still in his tuxedo from Miz TV. The Street Profits came out and chased the Usos away. Of course, Montez Ford has his one-on-one match with Jimmy Uso. And then after the match, the Usos tried to attack Riddle. Then Riddle fought back and chased him away. And by the way, Jimmy Uso was the winner of the match. We had Seth Rollins did his interview. But he was saying he didn't feel bad for what he did to Cody Rhodes. And we had a Dana Brooke versus Becky Lynch for a 24/7 championship. Well, it was supposed to be for the 24/7 title. Becky Lynch attacked Dana Brooke before the match. And then said, we're on the mic, this is not what it's about. I want to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And then you continue to beat up Dana Brooke. Then Asuka came out. They fought. Asuka chased her out of the ring. So the match next week, Becky Lynch versus Asuka in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. We had Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan teaming up against Doudrop and Nikki Ash. Doudrop and Nikki Ash have been forming some sort of team. Doudrop's been getting a little frustrated with Nikki Ash because Nikki Ash keeps costing them the match. But they are still a team. Bliss and Morgan won that match. I gotta say, I am not a fan of Nikki Ash at all. I've never been a fan. She's just annoying when she talks. I don't think she's that good of a wrestler, and I'm not a fan. Then we had Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens in a one-on-one match, and Ezekiel won the match. After that, Omos and MVP came out, and MVP beat the crap out of Cedric Alexander. And we have some breaking news. Next week, Elias will be returning to Monday Night Raw, some sort of concert. Obviously, the whole thing is that Ezekiel is not Elias. Kevin Owens thinks he's lying. He keeps trying to prove it. By the way, just so you guys know, in real life, Ezekiel and Elias are the same person. They look the same. They sound the same. And that I looked it up. They are the same person, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. That will be very, very interesting to see how they're both going to be in the ring or something. That'll be very confusing, very interesting. We had a Money in the Bank qualifying match, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Seth Rollins won that match. I thought it was a very good match. So Seth Rollins he qualifies for Money in the Bank. He has already won it twice. He has cashed it in twice. Of course, he has the greatest cash in the history of WWE at WrestleMania. He cashed in, making the Roman versus Brock Lesnar match a triple threat. We had Riddle versus Ciampa. Riddle won the match. Miz was at ringside. He was very upset that Riddle won, of course, because they've been feuding. And then Bianca Belair was doing an interview, and the Judgment Day, which of course includes Rhea Ripley, who she will be fighting for the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank, interrupted them, did their whole little speech. They kind of went back and forth, and that was that. We had Mustafa Ali versus Chad Gable. Chad Gable picked up the win very quickly. It was a very disappointing match, I thought. They could have done a little bit more with that. Chad Gable pretty much dominated. Get Mustafa Ali out of WWE. He is not that good of a wrestler. He doesn't want to be there. That's why he was off TV. He requested to be released. WWE wouldn't do it. Get him out of there. Goodbye. You're thrown to Roman. Give him a shot. See what happens. But I don't think it's worth doing now at this point. He is not very good. He doesn't even deserve it. Just cut him. Let him free. If he wants to go to AEW, let him. Who cares? And Rey Mysterio versus Veer. Veer won that match pretty easily. We had a pose-off. Bobby Lashley versus Theory. Show who was in better shape and more muscular. Bobby Lashley won that, but then Theory sprayed some sort of liquid in Lashley's eyes. Chased him out of the ring, and they took a bunch of selfies. Whatever. Theory's I find him kind of annoying. And that was Raw. It was alright. The WWE material is a little stale right now. I'm hoping it picks up soon. We got Money in the Bank coming up. We also have some breaking news. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with. Then I'm going to wrap it up. Vince McMahon has stepped down from his role as chairman and CEO of WWE. Right now, there is an investigation into him as well as the head of talent development, I believe is his title, John Laurinaitis, into some sort of misconduct with a former female employee. Supposedly, this big man paid this said female employee $3 million to settle. So, it popped up again. There's a probe going on right now. This big man said he's going to cooperate, and he will accept the findings, whatever they are, when they come out. So he has stepped down from his role as chairman and CEO of WWE. His daughter, Stephanie McMahon, she will assume the role on an interim basis for now. Vince McMahon will still foresee, WWE as a whole. He's still, he still owns the business, still owns the company, but he will not be the day-to-day chairman and CEO. He has stepped down while the investigation goes on. Stephanie McMahon is, for now, on an interim basis. So we'll see where that goes. Honestly, just get this guy out of here. He's old. He's got to be probably in his 70s. He's not doing a good job. Let Triple H and Stephanie run WWE. They know what they're doing. I'm surprised at this point they haven't created their own faction at this point. Triple H and Stephanie. Let Triple H and Stephanie run it. Those two know what's best for business. People will like those two a lot more than Vince. It's just time. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.